Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good night. I'm Truman all of a sudden. Hey, so listen, we're doing She-Hulk, the spoiler review for episode, what the hell is it, 5? Episode 5. And, yeah, man, let's talk about it. We got episode 5 of She-Hulk. And if you're brand new to the channel, by the way, we're trying to get to 70,000 by the end of the year. Hit that button. Got a lot of stuff coming out here. Going to have my social reaction, immediate reaction of Andor tonight. I think like 8 p.m. PST. Or is it 9? I don't know, one of those two. Whenever the embargo drops. Anyway, listen. Let's get into this thing. This is She-Hulk. It is the latest episode. Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk. Last one had a bunch of magicians and Billy Walsh from Entourage. I think the show's losing me, guys. On episode 1 and 2, I know there are a lot of people who didn't like the show off the bat. I really liked 1 and 2, and I didn't mind 3 too much. 4, it lost me on I thought it got a little too silly, and the balance was all over the place. And I do disagree with people that don't think it's well written. I do think it's well written. I just don't. Here's an example, by the way. So when Ms. Marvel, when the trailers came out, I said, okay, this show seems to be aimed towards like teenagers. And maybe that's who the audience is going to be. And if it's done, teenagers will love it. Turns out it wasn't just for teenagers. I related to the show very much because of the family dynamic. And I thought the family dynamic of that show, minus the really, I thought the acting was really good in the show as well. But I think that the family dynamic was better to me than the superhero stuff. However, the superhero stuff combined very well into the overall narrative of what the show was. It balanced it both out. And there was definitely humor in it all the way around. Now, I know the tone is supposed to be set differently, and I know this is supposed to be that Ally McBeal type thing, and that's fine. What I felt the show did in the first 2, more so than now, when I watched the trailer, I said, I don't know if this show is necessarily geared towards me. And then I watched the show, and the first 2, I said, this seems to be geared towards not just the audience it's intended for, which I think is, I think it's definitely intended for women and people like the Sex and the City audience, and I think that's great. And I think that for the first 2 episodes, I was like, oh wait, maybe not. Maybe it's intended for both, because I watched Sex and the City the first 2 seasons, and I thought it was actually really pretty balanced. And then it turned a little bit more where I couldn't relate to it as much. And so I didn't watched it with exes or whatever. Even my wife now will watch it, and I'll tune into an episode. And I'm like, oh, okay. So sometimes I just can't relate to it. Starting to be like that for me in She-Hulk. Doesn't mean that this is a terrible show. I actually think it's there are people who are going to love this episode. I just thought an entire episode about the trademark of the name, it wasn't interesting to me. It was like a good bit for like a second, but it wasn't interesting to me. And it was like the idea, which I thought was strong, was the idea of this bond, and that now the lawyer that comes in to help She-Hulk, they now become buddies, and I thought that was a good angle. But again, it took a full 30 minutes, and I don't know, and it's just like it's starting to just get silly. It's like I don't feel like anybody's real anymore. In the first 2 episodes, even though there was the dressing to the camera and there was like this clever kind of hook to it, I still felt like it was real and part of like the MCU that I've been watching. I think that that's probably another problem, and this is a me thing. I understand it's a me problem, but I'm rewatching the MCU right now, and with my daughter, and we're just at the Avengers, and the tone is so significantly different for those phase 1 and phase 2, or I guess it's still phase 1, right? Movies, whatever it is, than it is now. And they have to be. I know it has to evolve. And I do. And by the way, I think Tatiana Maslany is absolutely incredible in this role. And I think she is. I disagree that she's not likable. I think she's very likable. And I think that I think that the show itself is. I thought this episode was well done. I just didn't like it because I just didn't. I was like, yeah, I'm just not interested in this after a while, you know. But what I do think, I think that it's great that the show exists for a different audience. I think it's ridiculous and silly for people to say, well, this is so dumb. They even have this show. But what? It's not for you. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see it. I like what I liked at the end. I like the reveal. There's two things. There's a thing I didn't like and a thing I did like. I thought it was ridiculous that the fashion guy who's making these costumes, I get it. It's really hard to get an appointment. I thought that was clever. She-Hulk shows up, and you're like, I don't know who you are. It's a person. It's the only other person who can turn into a Hulk. It's the only other person. That is fascinating. Yes, I will work on you immediately. You're not famous enough. Get out of here with that nonsense. It's She-Hulk. It's okay. Jennifer Walters walks in, and you're like, you kind of whatever, and that's been the bit the whole season. Okay, but She-Hulk walks in, and you're like, no, I don't. I only work on the big celebrities. Stop. I get the bit, but that's the type of stuff that it's losing me. The same way that when everybody who loved Madison or the drunk girl from last episode, which I thought she did a great job, it just feels like a bit, and if you watch me, you know that when it gets too bitty, that's when you start to lose me. And again, performance wise, thought there was not one bad actor. I thought everybody did their job. I thought every single person did their job, and I thought that the timing and the delivery was spot on. I thought that the writing for that particular show, for this episode, was good. I just didn't like it because I just, again, not for me. It's like, okay, there's a really good dish that someone serves up. It's got all these ingredients. Oh, man, this is tasty. Yeah, but I don't like these ingredients. But it's a good dish. It is. It's just, I don't like that taste. That's the way that I felt about this particular episode. I don't think that it's needed for people to hate on things and scream and yell and talk about how, there's an agenda and all this too. Every show has an agenda. What's the agenda? It's to target an audience that you want to watch your show. Yeah, but I feel like they're ignoring me. Then don't watch it. I didn't like this episode. I'll watch the next episode too. I was intrigued in the fact that they have Daredevil's helmet. I saw at D23 the sign that had Daredevil in it. I want to see the dynamic between the two of them and how that works, because that to me signifies that they're gonna start actually having Jennifer be more involved in storylines that further the overall MCU plot. I've been invested in the MCU like a lot of other people because I like to see where the investment is going into this. What the way that they've been talking about it recently is that there's more of these plans and how it's going to fit in. So far, I don't know how this show is going to fit in. In the first couple of episodes, with the Hulk going off into space and these other things happening, and Abomination and her defending Abomination and all that, it was like, okay, these certain things, and the Shang-Chi connection, it was starting to fit in. And again, I know, well, it's the Ally McBeal thing. It's this. I like the idea that it's just this situational comedy, and that's great. It's losing me on that type of thing. Again, do I think it's a bad show? I don't. You could, and that's your opinion. I just don't know if it continues on this particular way, if I'm going to be as into it as I was in the first two. So, again, I think that the friend dynamic, and I don't, you know what it is? It is really, and to be fair, what did they say? It's Ally McBeal, and when you watch Ally McBeal, do all those characters seem real? No, they don't. They seem like they're in a comedy. And even when the dude shows up to do the sneaker thing with the best friend and that whole thing and it's like, yeah, just every scene is a bit now, and there's no balance anymore. So I don't know. Maybe not everybody's going to agree with me, and I'm sure there's going to be some turds in here just to argue with me about why I don't like it, and this is the reason why you don't like it, and clearly you don't like it because of this, and whatevs. You say what you want. I'm hoping that the next few connect a little bit more. I really, really enjoy Tatiana Maslany. I think she's an incredible actress. I think from Stronger and a lot of other things that she's been in, but I think that she's her delivery, and she feels it's her. I don't know. There's something about her delivery on just normal lines that I'm like, I wish they would just go a little bit more. I like when, like, in the courtroom scene, right, when these guys are like describing that it's not her it's She-Hulk that they're into, and she has like this bit. It's like this thing in her eyes where she's just, it's a bummer to her, right? Like, and I just want to know how long they're going to play that angle, because it's going on for a bit. Like when is she going to start to combine the two of them? Is it just because of the new costume that she gets? She gets more confidence. I don't know. But the point is, it's what Tatiana Maslany does in that scene that you're like, oh, I feel that. And I wish she had more of those types of moments. But that's me. What about you guys? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Very curious on your thoughts on this one. Let's get the conversation going. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. So we got Capes and Cows. No, that's not true. A big thing coming up a little later today. Capes and Cows tomorrow. And then, like I said, I'm going to do my immediate reaction of Andor. I got a lot of Andor coverage coming up soon. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for that. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. See you next time. Peace.